So, we have the definition of a banger UFC fight night main event. Carlos Prates, Jack Della Maddalena. This is a certified scrap. This is exactly how matchmaking is meant to go, and I couldn't be happier with how this played out. Before we get into it, boys, the road to 5k has begun. The channel is absolutely popping at the moment. Hit that subscribe button. But enough of that bullshit. Let's get into it. Before we get into the actual breakdown of this fight and the absolute masterpiece that it is, I want to actually start off by giving the UFC a shitload of credit for this absolutely golden matchmaking. Now, this is what UFC fight nights are meant to be like. Headlining, massive fights like this. This is what a fight night, this main event right here, is what a fight night should look like. This is golden matchmaking. Now, I did a lot of tape today, and I was kind of thinking, I didn't know which way I was leaning when I first saw this. When I first saw this fight get announced, I was leaning a little bit towards Carlos Prates. He's on a bit of a tear at the moment. Jeff Neal, Leon Edwards. I feel like he's really learned from the Ian Garry loss. JDM is coming off a really bad loss to Islam Makhachev. But then I kind of looked at JDM's career. He hasn't actually lost to any other welterweight. And, you know, Prates has been kind of... I rewatched the Ian Garry fight, and this is where I already want to start, because this fight's going to tell you a lot. Carlos Prates, I think, landed 19 significant strikes in the first 3 rounds. He didn't let his hands go 1%. I watched the full fight back today. Ian Garry will look that good when you let him look that good, and you don't throw anything back. Sorry, there was no offense coming from Carlos Prates in that entire fight, and it was really frustrating because in the 4th and the 5th, the 5th especially. Now, it must be said, when he was landing those vicious shots at the end, it was from a reversal. It wasn't like Prates had, you know, left-handed him and then he kind of dropped him and then started ground and pounding him. Ian Garry was shooting some takedowns in that fight. Like, Ian Garry didn't have much success in the first 2 or 3, but he did end up getting some. He doesn't really have much threat on the ground, though, Ian Garry. He's not going to go in there and, you know, do an origami submission roll to get you out of there. You know what I mean? He's not going to do any of that. But then I was kind of thinking, I feel like Ian Garry is a similar style to JDM. Quite boxing heavy, but there are some differences. Number 1 is the kicks. Now, we're obviously going to talk about more fights, but Ian Garry is the kind of one I feel like this is where Prates learned a lot from. JDM is very much a heavy boxer kind of style. Not much kicks at all. A little bit. And then I watched the Randy Brown versus Jack Della Maddalena fight, because that's when I think that's kind of the most similar style. And the Kevin Holland fight. They're the kind of 2 styles that Prates represents. The Randy Brown fight, JDM just starched him out of it, got him out of submission, and looked absolutely incredible. That's when I first kind of realised, holy shit, Jack Della Maddalena is good and would still knock out Ian Garry, in my opinion. But even the Kevin Holland fight, there were a lot of kicks coming that way that were kind of landing. And JDM's kind of guard like this, he's kind of like this. Kevin Holland wasn't exactly finding much success breaking that guard. I definitely think Carlos Prates is way more dangerous than Kevin Holland, especially at this stage of Kevin Holland's career. And I feel like Carlos Prates is going to have to go in there with a very kick-heavy approach the first couple of rounds. We saw Lonnie Kavanagh do it against Brandon Moreno. He had an awful lot of success getting those kind of low kicks. I always say low kicks and leg kicks early on and body kicks, they're all investments. That's gaining interest every single kick. And when you take the money out, JDM's leg might be completely compromised. He might be able to walk on it, or the shots might be as effective because he's so worried about the leg. He might be able to get the strikes going because he's so defensively aware of his leg, and that's when Carlos Prates might be able to shine. For JDM, he really has to get in the pocket. There were moments where Jeff Neal was able to like catch a kick and do some damage up against the cage against Carlos Prates, and Jeff Neal had moments as well. There were moments where I saw Ian Garry backing up Carlos Prates against the cage. And Ian Garry's not going to let his hands go as much as JDM. If JDM lets his hands go, he is leaving himself vulnerable. But I would be fairly confident, as long as Prates has his back up against the cage, JDM won't get caught there. It's more in the middle of the cage I'm a little bit worried. That's where Leon Edwards got caught. And if you know, Leon Edwards is my favourite fighter of all time. I said it, okay, and I'm going to die on that hill. I cannot switch up. I will never switch up. But once Prates is in the middle of the cage and JDM's kind of standing there like this, I would absolutely think Carlos Prates is going to land an awful lot of damage. This is such a sick main event, by the way. I genuinely am so torn on this main event. 1 minute I'm leaning towards Prates, the next minute I'm leaning towards JDM. I think Prates needs to go in there with a kick-heavy approach, and I think JDM needs to go in there with a very heavy pressure forward approach, because JDM doesn't really throw many kicks. Like, when he's like this, he doesn't really throw many kicks. Now, I definitely think Prates has more ways to win. Do I see JDM chucking a takedown in there? No, I don't. And I don't think Prates has that to worry about. Like, where Ian Gary was kind of shooting that takedown. Leon Edwards was known to be a good grappler. Now, the Leon Edwards kick game had an awful lot of success against Prates. Both of these guys, will benefit massively from low kicks and investing early and body kicks and stuff like that. I definitely see the kick game being more on Prates' side, especially if he's going to go to the body. To say this is a number one contender fight, I think is very fair. Quite interesting to see what they're going to do with Michael Morales. Maybe they're going to give him Kamaru Usman. I genuinely think Kamaru Usman probably beats all of these guys. I think he beats Prates. I think he beats Michael Morales. I think he beats JDM. I think we're very much blessed at the moment, apart from Makhachev, where we have a lot of strikers in the division. We have Ian Gary, we have Shavkat, we have Prates, we have JDM, we have Michael Morales. Joaquin Buckley's probably going to knock out Sean Brady, and that's going to take out another, grappler. We are very blessed. But you chuck Usman in the mix, he's going to beat a lot of these guys. I think Kamaru Usman beats most of these guys. I might go as far to say I think Kamaru Usman is the second best welterweight at the moment. I don't know if that's outrageous to say, but we don't have many grapplers in the division at the moment. And Brady was one of them. I thought Brady's grappling was some of the best that you will ever see. I thought Sean Brady's grappling was incredible leading up to the Michael Morales fight. And he just got starched. He just got absolutely starched. But for JDM and Prates, it's such a 50-50 fight. Like, it's the definition of a 50-50 fight. If I was to pick right now, I think Carlos Prates is on a tear, man. I really, really do. I think the Jeff Neal finish, the Leon Edwards finish, the lessons that he has learned from the Ian Gary fight, his output is second to none now. He's investing early with the low kicks, and I think Prates is going to win. I don't think Jack Della Maddalena's confidence is going to be anywhere what it was leading into that Islam Makhachev fight. Sorry, but I also think this is one of the better styles that he can come back to. Prates has quite like a low guard. I don't rate JDM's head movement an awful lot. He's got decent head movement, but obviously his boxing, his combinations. Fuck, I want JDM to win. Fuck, when JDM was champ, life was good. Life was great, actually. Fuck good. Life was great. And Prates, I don't see him having any hope against Islam Makhachev. I thought Jack Della Maddalena was the antidote. I thought Jack Della Maddalena was the truth leading into the Islam Makhachev fight. I thought he was going to get that one done. But Makhachev is so much better than every single one of these welterweights. That's why I'm kind of bringing Usman into this mix. Not saying Usman deserves a title shot, because he really doesn't. But he's going to have an awful lot of success against these guys like Prates, Morales, JDM, Ian Gary, Shavkat. He's going to have success. And that's why I'm kind of like, if Usman does come back, which I think he will. Like, he hasn't fought now in a good while. He doesn't deserve a title shot, and I really hope he doesn't get it. But if he comes back, he's going to have a massively grappling heavy approach. And that's going to benefit him an awful lot. Like, an awful lot. This is the definition of matchmaking. This is exactly the kind of main events we need in UFC. Exactly the kind of main events we want in the UFC. I give full praise here to the matchmakers for making such a masterpiece for a Fight Night main event. We got Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer as well, which is an incredible main event. Few shitters like Duncan versus Moicano. I think Josh Emmett is a main event next week or something. Even the Holloway card is very main heavy approach. You know what I mean? It's kind of just a main event. And it's not even like a title eliminator. Do you know what I mean? The winner's going to fight Sarukian. And I dropped a Sarukian video earlier. But I'm actually quite happy with the matchmaking. I just want to see champions booked. You know what I mean? I want to see champs booked. We only have one champion booked at the moment, which is Joshua Van, and it's March, which is insane. The April pay-per-view, the May pay-per-view, we don't even know what's going on in May, and it's March. It's just, the UFC seems to be all over the place, and this whole White House card is completely clogging everything. And I don't give a fuck about the White House card, man. I'm from Ireland, so it literally makes no odds to me if they're walking out from the Oval Office. I don't care. And from what I've seen, a lot of these fighters truly don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? They really don't care. But a lot of lessons were learned for Carlos Prates in the Ian Gary fight. I just want, like, it was very frustrating watching that fight, simply because I feel like Prates versus Ian Gary now would be a completely different fight. I think Ian Gary deserves the title shot against Makhachev, let's be honest. I think this would be such a different fight now. Prates is a lot more, he lets his hands kind of go and things like that. JDM just shit himself against Islam Makhachev. Absolutely shit himself. Didn't really perform to the best of his ability at all. He's usually the Bilal Muhammad fight. I thought that's everything I need to see to think he would beat Makhachev. When he lets his hands go, especially up against the cage, that's where he has success. And I think that is his key to beating Carlos Prates. It's going to be 5 rounds. I definitely think Prates slowed himself down because he did gas out a little bit against Ian Gary. JDM's absolutely going to have the advantage there. Like, he's gone 5 rounds against Bilal Muhammad before and things like that. Like, I don't necessarily see Prates as a grappling threat either, like, at all. He's not a threat to JDM on the ground at all. This is going to be a stand-up fight. It could go either way. It's so close. I'm leaning a smidge bit towards Carlos Prates, given the stages they're at in their career of Prates is on this absolute tear, just beat Leon Edwards, beat Jeff Neal, and he's just an absolute badass, bro. I love Carlos Prates, and JDM's just coming off the only loss of his UFC career, and the first loss in God knows how long. He went 0-2 and then won like a 20-fight win streak. Like, he's insane. But what do we think, boys? Is JDM picking up the win? Let me know what you think down below, and thanks for watching.